Okie dokie. So, welcome back. Sam had a few issues. He's put 50p in the meter, and hopefully we're back and you can all hear us. So we was in the middle of talking about our retro schemes, and Tony had just asked me about are we sticking purely to the V8 retro paints, and the answer is no. To make it a bit broader, what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to basically whatever you want. So V8 Retro, F1, NASCAR, IndyCar, whatever you fancy. Get a paint in, um, hopefully with a little bit of an explanation as to what it is and why it is. And it will be at our Bathurst round, which I believe is the 2nd of November. Um, we will get a poster out just to remind you guys. It will look good on the broadcast, so do your best. Harold, I know you dabble in car painting. Is it something that you're going to join us in doing?
I plan to do a retro paint, yes. I will run my black skin from the very old league where I already run the V8s. So I just put the team sponsors from Fitstyle on instead of the original ones. But yeah, I will do a retro paint.
Good stuff. Just give me 2 seconds. Just talk amongst yourselves. Sorry, I was just getting the new link up. Right, so yeah, that's the retro paint out of the way. A little bit of iRacing news about at the moment. So Tony mentioned it earlier. Bathurst 1000 coming up this Saturday. Myself and Pete Bingham will be entering. We'll probably be in the Winderlicker split as usual.
Sorry.
We're used to it, mate. It's great. It's probably better than the top split because there's more fun happening. Johnny, something that you're going to do, or will you be concentrating on your TCR or something else?
I want to do it. Obviously, it's going to clash with the sprint series, is it not?
You should be finished just 5 hours is the length of time for the 161 laps for the fast guys. For Clyde, it may be about 6 hours. But yeah, you can make the practice time for Belle Isle.
Yeah, I think it starts at 2 p.m. UK time. So yeah, you should just get it.
Might miss about 15 minutes of practice.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll do both, but I want to do the Bathurst.
You can always make races 2 and 3.
Totally decided yet. What the problem is that I would nearly said at my age, but then I remembered you're a bit older than me, so you're going to put me to shame with that. But after doing the Bathurst 1000, that's probably enough V8 and sim racing for me for one day. That depends if we get past the first couple of laps or not, though, I suppose. So it depends how it plays out. But I want to do it. I'm not entirely sure yet, but fingers crossed we can make something work one way or the other. I'm pretty sure I will do it. Just not sure in what capacity yet, what split we'll go for, and what teams will be made up of, etc., etc. But I'm sure I'll be doing it.
And Ryan, is that something that tickles your fancy?
What was the question? Sorry, I was just I had to speak to my mother, so I was a bit distracted.
Bathurst 1000 coming up this weekend. Are you likely to take part?
Unfortunately, I won't be able to take part because I've got a 6-hour endurance race on Artifact 2, so what classes on the same day. So unfortunately, I won't be able to do both. And so plus, most of the time these days with sim racing, I normally limit how much racing I do. So I don't want to do too much. Otherwise, I just start to suffer from burnout.
Yeah, you got to win a race before you can do that. Tony, you've obviously said that you're doing it. What's your team lineup likely to?
Yeah, Chris and I are running together. I think Ant is also going to run with one of his chaps. So Chris and I are looking forward to it. Hopefully, Chris's wheel will last the entire race. But regardless, we ran it a couple of years ago, did very well. So we're looking forward to it.
And Harold, are you partaking in this, or are you off doing something else?
I would like to take part, but there are no plans yet to do it. I don't know. I asked George if he has time, but it looks like he doesn't get approval from his private government at home. Maybe with someone from the sports club I'm in, who's doing esports and sim racing. Let's see. I currently it doesn't look like I can take part or I will take part, but I try.
If you really want to do it, Harold, then and you haven't got anyone to do it with, then maybe send us a message. We might be able to work something out just for fun.
Yeah,
Ooh, coaching.
why not?
Ooh.
Why not? Thanks, Johnny. Maybe I get back to this.
It just means you'd have to run as XVR for the rest of the season. That's the only caveat. No, I'm only joking. Obviously not. No, seriously, if you're stuck and you literally haven't got anybody to do it with, then give us a message. We might be able to sort something.
I will.
So, any league members or anybody else who fancies driving the V8, I thoroughly recommend the Bathurst 1000. I know me and Pete did it a couple of years ago and basically laughed through the whole 5 hours. Really, really good fun. So, moving on. Probably, Johnny, you're the best person to ask this because of your memory lapse. The Audi TCR car, is it any good? What's it like? A lot of people don't like front wheel drive. A lot of people have been screaming for a real touring car for a long time. What are your impressions so far?
Well, yeah, I've been screaming for a real touring car for a long time, and I don't like front wheel drive. But it's great. The racing's good. If I'm being perfectly honest, I more enjoy it. I'm doing it in a couple of leagues, and I think there's 48 cars in one of the leagues and 55 or 56 in the other one. So it's mainly about the large number of cars. Obviously, being a new car, it's incredibly popular. The new tyre model's great. It's gonna be very interesting to get that tyre model on a V8. I can tell you that straight away. Cold tyres at the start, literally no grip whatsoever. Having to look after your tyres, which 90% of people don't, I hasten to add, which is surprising. But yeah, it's a great car. Once the tyres come in and it grips up, you get some very good racing. I'm not sure what's going on with the damage model on it, but it's like a tank at the moment. It'd be perfect for you, Tony. You can bosh into people all over the place pretty hard and no damage whatsoever.
Awesome.
You'd love it. You should have a go.
So you're giving me permission then, John?
I am giving you permission in the TCR. Let's have it. Let's get rid of our frustrations. It could be like that scene from Days of Thunder where they go to the place in the hire cars. So come on, let's have it.
Awesome.
They're like tanks. You could argue that encourages a little bit too much contact sometimes on a serious note, but generally speaking, it's all right as a car itself. Highly recommend it. Give it a go. If for nothing else, it's a heads up as to what the new tyre model will be like when it does arrive on the V8. And don't give up on the first lap out of the pits and think it's a load of rubbish, because it does get much better. Just to give you an idea, we were racing on Sunday, foggying ourselves, and in the practice sessions, our fastest lap was lap 14 by the time the tyres got quick. And for the first 3 laps, we're probably 3 seconds a lap slower than that. And it was only a 59-second lap. So around Silverstone National. So, it's huge differences in the tyres now with this new tyre model, which I like. It's really interesting, but the car is great. Highly recommend it.
And Tony, I think I remember you saying you was going to buy it. Have you managed to have a drive yet?
Yeah, I bought it. I did some laps around Donington with it and some official practice sessions to get an idea. As Johnny says, the new tire model's very different from what we have. I found it probably took about 4 laps before they started to come in, and I did notice that they got faster and faster as the run went on. One thing I didn't like about the car, and I don't know if you felt the same way, Johnny, is that first and second gear, it's like the car is really, really under geared.
Oh, waste of time. Yeah, don't use them.
Yeah,
Third gear minimum.
yeah, and really difficult to launch the car. Obviously, people are getting the hang of that and
It's
learning
launch
to
it like the
drive around
V8.
it.
Really, it's just controlling the wheel spin, but
Yeah.
it's just the wheel spin at the front as opposed to the wheel spin at the back that we're used to.
Yeah, and I think, guys, from what I saw in a couple of races that I did, was that guys were burning their tires up really fast, and the ones that were a little bit more controlled, ended up succeeding in the end. So I'm looking forward to the tire model. If I get some more time, I'll try and do some more TCR official practices and perhaps some official races to see how that is.
Okay, and Harold, is it? Have you bought the car?
Yes, I bought the car. I was looking forward to it, and I really, really like that car. That is very nice to drive for me. But sadly, I couldn't manage to enter any league or something because I was running the British GT over the summer, and yeah, it ended too late to join any other league. So yeah, for
I'd
official,
suggest putting your name down for the Sunday one, Harold. Just as a reserve, because people normally drop out. You'd probably get in there, because I think that British GT was on a Sunday as well, wasn't it? So if that suits, put yourself down for the Sunday one as a reserve, and wouldn't surprise me if you got in fairly.
Is that the one you're in then?
No, I'm in the BSR Sunday one, and then I'm also in the Apex TCR on Thursday.
Okay,
let me know which one I can. Let me know which one I can join so I can bash around a little bit.
I'll open a room for that, Tony. If you're serious, just put your name down. Probably the Sunday one is more of a chance. I think the Thursday one is got about 75 people applied for it. So I think the Sunday one may well have some openings coming up reasonably soon, or more chance of it. Anyway.
that's the one from BSR, right?
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. If you want to do some TCR racing and you want to bash Johnny about, head
Everyone
over to the
else
BSR website and see if you can sign up for their TCR league. Ryan, have you bought the TCR?
Yeah, I've bought the TCR car, and I've done some practice laps in the first, the official practice sessions. There's someone's trying to phone me. Sorry, can I answer that in a few minutes?
So whilst Ryan is answering the phone, Barcelona got released in the last build. I know there was quite a few people very excited about that. Tony, have you managed any laps in anything around Barcelona?
Yeah, when I got the TCR cars, that's where I went to first. I find a number of different course layouts, all of them very interesting. The short one, I think, is maybe too short. I was investigating to see what length of course would suit our V8s. Kind of like
Doing
the
the bloody short
medium-sized course. Yeah, no, I don't like that short course. Really, tell you the truth. I think the medium course may be better suited to the V8.
Full course.
Harold, are you a Barcelona fan?
I'm not especially a Barcelona fan, but I'm not a big fan of any track except Bathurst and Nürburgring Nordschleife, obviously. But yeah, obviously I bought Barcelona, and I already did a couple of laps in a GT3 car. So yeah, it's a track. Like for me, every track is more or less the same. So in terms of how I like it or not. So yeah.
And saying to you, Ryan, now you're back with us. Obviously, you was telling us that you bought the TCR car and you've done a few laps in practice sessions. Did you go out and buy Barcelona as well?
I didn't buy Barcelona, okay, but I am planning to buy it at some point for one of the endurance leagues that I race once a month on a Saturday. So yeah, I'll be buying it and be giving it a try. And but from what I've heard and what I've read in the forums, it seems to be going down pretty well with regards to reviews.
Yeah, I've a couple of the people I know have raced it and said, it's very good. A couple of people have pretty much mirrored what Harold just said and gone, yeah, it's a track. So yeah, each to their own. We also had a couple of months ago now. We had a teaser about some new V8 supercars, and since then, it all went quiet, and we had the talk of the new esports series, and we had real life teams joining in and picking drivers, and iRacing got very racist and only let New Zealand and Australian people join it. And then we had some teaser pictures for the new Holden and the new Ford Mustang. So I'll start with Johnny. Exciting?
Yeah, not really. um, it could be a very long wait, couldn't it? They say it soon. I prefer to wait until these things actually arrive. What I will say is I think a switch back to the Holden is highly likely for me.
Yeah. I can remember having this discussion about Ford throwing the Mustang into every single series you could think of. I'm pretty sure there's an F1 Ford Mustang in the pipeline somewhere. Tony, we sometimes try and prize some inside information out of you. As you've got a few connections within iRacing. Do you have any idea on the weight that we're going to have for this, or is it something that they're throwing everything into to get it released as soon as possible?
Yeah, unfortunately, no inside information on it whatsoever. And I hear the same rumors everybody else does. I hope it's more than just a reskinning of the two cars. Really like to see some work done on the suspension on the cars, and then I think obviously it's going to be another purchase for everyone because these cars have been around for quite some time. So iRacing will have to make a little bit of coin off of it. And I know the jury's out on the Mustang body shape and whether or not that's realistic or not. But anyways, whatever comes out, we'll race, I'm sure.
The jury's not out for me on that Mustang body. It's ugly.
It's
Yeah,
not as
I think
ugly
it's
as
going to
that.
take a really good painter to make a good paint job on that car.
I'm going to say it's not as ugly as that Toyota Camry in the Xfinity series, but that's for another night. Harold, new V8s, does that prick your interest, or is it just another car?
Well, I would say it's just another car, but in terms of V8, I'm a little bit a fan of the generation of cars we currently have. Let's see what the new cars bring in terms of physics, drivability, and fun to drive. So yeah, let's see. But at the end, I think I will stick being a fan of the cars we currently have.
I have to say, I think just the new tyre model alone would probably transform the V8's handling. Be really interested if they do make some
Yeah,
changes.
that's I'm looking forward to also the new tire model on the V8. So it will change anyway if we get the new tire model on the old cars or if we get completely new cars.
Yeah,
The
agreed.
old cars will also drive like new ones with the or completely different with the new tire model. So yeah.
And what about you, Ryan? Obviously you're just starting off in your V8 career with us, and once the new cars come out, obviously we'll plan to use them the following season. Would that be a purchase at the top of your list to carry on racing?
Yeah, definitely. The new V8 I've seen, and I have to say, I'm quite looking forward to it. I mean, yeah, some people might say they might not be excited or blown away by it. By some people might not be blown away by the looks, but in my mind, it's another new car to the service. What's going to be a good thing, and yeah, and I'll be purchasing or buying it, I should say, for the new season.
So, Tony Gardner, if you're watching, listening, we've just solved all your iRacing problems for you and made you a shit ton of money. All you need to do is put a new shell on the old car with the new tyre models, and Bob's your uncle. Job done. So,
Speaking of new cars, sorry, Clive. Speaking of new cars, have you heard about the other new?
I'm just getting on to that. Just hang
Okay.
on. So, the latest announcement and the last in our little bit of iRacing news. It has been revealed, which is, I must say, not really a surprise to me with the iRacing tie-up with Porsche, that the Porsche Cayman GT4 is coming.
Did you?
That is that what they call it, the Cayman?
That's what I call it from now on. Yeah, brilliant.
I must admit, it's not something that's going to get anything stirring in my underpants. But I understand, there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that are heavily into GT racing. So I'm going to start with Harold because he has mentioned GT3s on at least 73 occasions tonight. Harold, GT4, Porsche Cayman. Is that up your street or is it just another car?
That's a really cool nickname, Cayman. uh, yes, I will buy it anyway. I'm member of the 100% club in iRacing, and I will stay there. So, but yes, I will buy it and I will drive it. But honestly, it isn't a surprise that the GT4 is coming with the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge, which is, as I think, it's a multi-class with TCR and GT4 in America anyway, if I'm correct. So uh, the next car must have been a GT4 car. now we know it's a Porsche, which you all also mentioned, is also quite obvious with the bonds with Porsche, iRacing and Porsche. So yeah, let's go.
And I'm just thinking about the Porsche tie-up. I can remember having a chat with David Black, our sponsor from Race Tech, when we was at the British GT earlier this year. And one of the new Porsche cars he's got a contract with them to supply them with Race Tech seats. So it'd be interesting to see if this car has got it as well. Ryan, is GT racing your thing?
Yeah, definitely. I love GT racing. I love endurance racing. I love sports car racing in general, and I think the Porsche GT4 car coming to iRacing is a big thing. And I think, as Harold mentioned, with Porsche being heavily involved with the esports series as well. I think bringing a new car, bringing a new car to the series, or the platform in general, is a good thing, and I think it'll increase the user base on iRacing even more. I think.
I'm going to leave Johnny till last, so we can put a damper on things. Tony, we sort of have the same opinions around GT racing. It's a bit meh. Are you going to go out and buy it? Is it something that you would look to drive in the future, or does it not really float your boat?
No, not floating this boat. I'm not a big fan. I've done some of the Porsche racing in the past, and I found that the driving standards in the official races are a little bit suspect. So more so than in the V8 even. So, anyways, not something that it's going to turn me one way or the other.
And Johnny, obviously when it comes out, you'll buy it. You'll find a league to race in on a Monday, so we have to change the podcast again. Is that right?
Possibly. I don't like GT racing. Don't like GTEs. Don't like GT3s. Too much grip. Too boring. I completely understand where people come from on that. But GT4, I think, may be different. I'm not sure of the exact regulations, but I don't think it's not going to have anywhere near as much grip. It's not going to have. I don't think it has ABS or traction control. I might be wrong in that. It might have ABS, not traction control, but I don't. The grip level should be down. I enjoy the 911 Cup car. I think that's great on iRacing, although the official practices and races can be a bit suspect, as Tony says. But it's a great car. And the GT4, I think there's a big gap for that if they do it right, and it has a bit of movement in the car where you actually have to drive the car rather than GT3 and GTE where you just get a setup that works and sling it into the corner and you can't really go wrong. So if it's done right, I'm looking forward to it, and it might grab me that. I'm looking forward to see it, especially with the new tyre model. So yeah, potentially could be very exciting, that one. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Right, so that is the iRacing news done. Now, I do realise that we have prattled on quite a bit tonight, but we had a lot to get through. So we've got a few questions in. So first question is from Mr. Pete Bingham, and it's to Harold. And he says, what does Harold attribute his great performance increase this season to? Is it loads of practice?
I don't practice more than last season because I don't have more time. I already use every time I have for practicing, but I changed my approach to the setups and how I practice. I used to make my setups on my own, I was a bit stubborn to say I do it my own. But now I try to get a better understanding by using setups from, for example, PSD, Pure Driving School, PDS, I mean, Pure Driving School, for example. And also our team Fitstyle has already some great setups. So I go with them and try to learn what the car should feel, or how I can learn to drive these setups to be better. And yes, it gained me a couple of tenths, but yeah, that's the maybe the change I made and what brought me the improvement.
Good stuff. Next question is from Ronald Moons. And for those of you new to the series, Ronald has been with us from the start. His original team was called Racing in Socks. And he had a very good livery on the car with a pair of socks on the side of it. So, again, the question is for Harold. Ronald has said, is Harold racing in socks or shoes? And if socks, which socks does he recommend for victory?
Unfortunately, I am racing in shoes, so and I have always different socks on, so in the shoes, but always the same shoes. But maybe the victory comes from because my shoe for the right foot just got his sole loose on the heel. Maybe that helped to win the race. If that
Or maybe you have a new pair of lucky socks.
Personally,
Yeah,
I prefer to race naked, but that's another story.
Let's not go there, Clyde.
I
and
wondered
it-
how you steered, drinking all that cider non-stop.
You got to believe it, mate. Bill, it's not really a question, but Bill has just said that Porsche is a little like including a Leyland Victory Mark II released to the iRacing network. I think Bill is probably the only person alive who knows what a Leyland Victory Mark II is. So less said about that, the better. Another question from Bill, this time a more serious one. How is the driver training program progressing? Just to answer that, I know we've spoken about it before. What we wanted to do with this is we wanted to do it with a booking system so that we could keep some sort of control on it. Obviously, Tony and Johnny kindly volunteered as driver coaches, and I know Mike Taliancic is doing a bit with the Australian drivers, and we're hoping to get some more driver coaches involved in it. But it's all linked back to the new website that we're doing, and it's going to have a booking system in, so you can see when the guys are free and what times they're already booked for. So my only advice with it is bear with us. Sam is I'll tell you what's going on. Sam has got a promotion at work, so he's not a cleaner anymore. So he's now going to be working from home a lot. So he's got a lot more time on his hand, and I've got a massive list for him of things to do. So bear with us. It is coming. We haven't forgot about it. And once we do it, it will be released properly, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. Question from me, and again, this one is to Harold. I'm interested in the team dynamics between yourself and George. Now, George is a very, very fast driver, very good driver. He's competitive. He, don't get me wrong, the NQR boys put in a lot of practice. George is one of those people that whenever you join one of the V8 practice sessions, he's always in there and he's always right up the top. So, Harold, do you and George work on setups together? Do you go down different roads with setups? I don't really know a lot about Fitstein Motorsports, but is there a community that likes the V8s within the team, and you help each other, or are you basically just running their colours and you're free to do your own thing?
First of all, currently it's only George and me driving the V8, and the good thing is we are quite on the same line about setups. So we communicate about setups, and we end up mostly in every race with the same setup. But unluckily, the drawback is that our practice time usually don't fit together. So it's mostly on the official practices on Thursdays, and maybe the sprint races where we actually meet and talk to each other and exchange stuff. So it's a bit a pity that our practice slots otherwise don't match due to family stuff and home stuff and real life. Real life is a bitch, I have to say this way. Yeah, but yes, there is communication between George and me as much as we can do with our less time we have.
Excellent. I always find it interesting how teammates interact with each other. Just going to skip a couple of questions on our sheet because I want to make sure Ryan is still alive. Question from me, Ryan. Are you looking ahead to season 8 in the V8s? So you've been with us for a little while now. You seem to be enjoying the racing. Are you looking to go again in season 8 after Christmas?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it probably sounds. I probably sound like a kid when I say it, but yeah, I wish the new season was starting already because, yeah, since I've started racing the V8 with the Euro V8 League and the racing with you guys, it's gave me such a buzz and like more excitement for sim racing than I've ever had before. I mean, there was sometimes or a few times, like last season or the season before, I wanted to not quit sim racing, but kind of just cut back a little bit and just treat it as fun. And I think with the Euro V8 League, since I've started racing, it's been a lot. It's became more enjoyable, and I enjoy racing. And yeah, it's probably the best fun I've been having in a long time.
Well, that's always good to hear. As with any league, I think we have our moments, but on the whole, everybody gets on, everybody helps, and the racing is usually good and close. Question from Bill to Johnny: how are the driving standards in the TCR events?
I don't think we got long enough for that.
Just bad, then, are they?
They have their moments. To be fair, it's pretty good. I think the early days encouraged a bit too much contact because the cars are tanks. You literally, like, it's extremely difficult to create any damage. But it's pretty good. It has its moments though, with arguably the usual suspects, shall I say? But yeah, it's all. You get it, unfortunately, in all leagues and all racing, especially with 55 cars on the grid. There's always going to be something. It only takes one person to move slightly in the wrong direction, and it is just a dominoes effect with that many cars on the grid. But yeah, it's pretty good. Luckily, touch wood, I've been quite close to the front generally in at least the first races, so I've got away with it to a certain extent. But there is certain things in the reverse grids which become interesting. But yeah, not too bad.
Okay, so our final question of the evening is a trivia question from Bill again. I think Bill's obviously had too much coffee today. and I'm hoping Bill is going to give us the answer once we've all had a guess and got it wrong. So, trivia question. Who's responsible for the original installation of the Armco barriers at Watkins Glen? Let's go down the list. Johnny, any idea?
Not a clue.
Brian, any idea?
So I think Pete Bingham.
Tony?
I believe it was the local Chamber of Commerce that mandated that safety barriers be put in place after.
You're ruining his joke, Tony, with a perfectly logical and sensible answer.
Well, I don't know how old Watkins Glen is, but if it's, I don't know, 100 years old, I'm going to say it was probably Bill Switzer on his 50th birthday or something like that. Harold, have you got any idea who's responsible for the Armco barriers at Watkins Glen?
Not at all. I guess it must be NASCAR because they put it everywhere, but I don't know.
Good. So, Bill, it's over to you to give us the answer. And if you don't, I shall bloody Google it and look really good.
It's better be a good
so-
punchline after I cut Tony off like that.
So, guys, obviously, thank you to Ryan and Harold for turning up. Thanks to Johnny and Tony for being on here with me and doing this game. I know we have some fun, but we did have a lot to get through tonight. Thanks to Sam for doing the wizardry in the background, although it does look like he cocked it up halfway through and had to start again. Thanks to the drivers. Thanks to my fellow admins that make all this possible. Thanks to Apex Racing TV and ECA Racing TV for the broadcasts. And lastly, thanks to Racetech for being our principal sponsor. Johnny, any final thoughts?
Just congratulations to Harold and Sam again for their first wins. Hope it's the first of many. And Ryan, don't feel too left out. I'm sure there'll be some coming soon. Stick with it. And look forward to the next few.
Excellent. Ryan, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, just a big thanks to you guys for having me on the podcast this evening, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bell Isle, and just good to stick with it as Johnny suggests, and just see what happens and just see how it goes.
Good stuff. Tony, Bill says you're correct.
Of course.
So, well done on that. I'm sure Bill will send you a prize. Any final thoughts from you before we close this down?
Just really pleased with the turnout we had this past weekend. Hopefully we have the same type of turnout for Belle Isle or even more. The more people talk about the league and the series, the better it is, and we get more participants. I'd love to see a 40 or 50 car grid as they're having in some of those TCR events.
Yeah, I second that. And Harold, last but not least, before we go, any final thoughts from you?
I would throw in another excuse for crashes. You stressed the lag contacts before netcode. I would throw in the excuse of commentators curse into the round. Just listen at Marco Barbanera talking before race 2, and then watch what happens. Then it wasn't our fault. It was all Marco's fault.
I don't think that's the first time either.
Yeah, I think Marco and Sam are very good at commentators' curses.
Yeah, and thank you for having me here tonight. And see you in 2 weeks' time, or almost 2 weeks' time.
Okay, and lastly, Sam boozing. shall we let him talk about his race win?
Absolutely.
Or do you think he's still on the podium celebrating?
I'm just wondering if he's dry yet.
Still wet. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Johnny, Tony, Ryan, Harold, and Clyde for your words. I also want to thank everyone in the league who congrats me after this one. Yeah, it's the first one in the V8. I'm not sure I will have a lot of victory in the V8. Especially if you guys are in the race. You're too fast for me. But yeah, it was a good one. Very stressful, but I really enjoy it.
Yeah, well done, Sam. So we're going to shut things down now, guys. We've been prattling on for nearly 2 hours. I believe we will be back with the next V8 podcast on Monday, the 7th of October, provided everybody can make it. We've had a few questions tonight. We've tried to answer them as best as we can. If you think of any questions that you want bringing up on the podcast, then send me a message and we'll make sure that they're in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for those that are listening after the event when it's not live, because I know we do get a few. And don't forget, if you want to be part of the podcast, send us a message and we'll get you in. So just leaves me to thank Sam for the magic in the background, our special guests Harold and Ryan, and to Mr. Johnny Brand and Mr. Tony Kloosterman for joining me tonight. Hope everybody has a wonderful week. Might be good to see you all at the Sprint Series, and more importantly, 2 weeks' time, main event, Belle Isle. Be there or be square. Good night, everybody.
Hey.
Good night.